1 trillion, y'all. That's the amount of money that all the Bitcoin in the world is worth, also known as the market cap of Bitcoin. For comparison, there are only about 5 public companies worth 1 trillion, Microsoft and Apple among them. Bitcoin's $1 trillion market cap breakthrough is truly momentous news. So let's take a quick look at how it got there and where it might be going. Hey, this is Josh from Phemex team. Before we start, please click on the like button, subscribe to our channel, turn on alerts, and share this video with your friends. Alright, so let's start with 2020. At the beginning of last year, Bitcoin started on a steady growth trend as analysts began spreading the idea that it could become a safe haven asset in times of turmoil. Then, COVID-19 began causing stress and disorder around the world, and the impetus to hold Bitcoin grew as governments pumped money into their economies and the prospect of inflation started looming. The coronavirus held on, and the problems of insecurity and likely inflation of the US dollar grew. The idea of distributing some cash reserves into Bitcoin as a hopeful hedge against inflation spread and even took hold among institutional investors. Throughout the year, the idea of investing Bitcoin increased its hold and began influencing even big corporations. This progression reached a milestone when PayPal announced plans to begin supporting Bitcoin payments. By the end of 2020, the Bitcoin price had climbed to around 28K per coin. The upward trend continued into January of 2021 and broke 40K during the first half of the month, before having a small dip to 30K by the end of January. But then Bitcoin started to climb back up toward 40K during the first week of February. And then, on February 8th, the news broke that Tesla bought $1.5 billion of Bitcoin and plans to accept it as payment in the future. This sent the price skyrocketing from 39K, breaking 50K about a week later. Then, on February 19th, Bitcoin passed 56K per coin. And, along with this, they passed the momentous $1 trillion market cap mark. Naturally, everyone is curious about what the short and long-term future looks like for Bitcoin now. So even at the end of last month, the general outlook on Bitcoin was positive about its continued growth. Now that it has experienced a spike, it's reasonable to look for a pullback, but most analysts seem to be confidently expecting steady growth, even in the short term. The feeling in the air is that Bitcoin is walking confidently up the stairs of becoming truly accepted into the mainstream, and the traditional naysayers are becoming more hesitant to publicly call Bitcoin a bubble. So what catalyst should we watch out for that might cause another jump or fall in price? For the jump, people are kind of waiting for the next big institutional or corporate investment, something to follow Tesla's move. In the same vein, another big corporation announcement of intent to begin accepting Bitcoin as payment would no doubt cause the price to jump. In fact, there have been a number of announcements like this, but so far nothing quite at the level of Tesla's purchase. As for catalysts that may make the price fall, one thing to keep an eye on is government policy, as a call for further restrictions or heightened taxes of crypto trading in response to the increasing mainstream acceptance would be likely to cause a dip. The significant thing to note here is that at the moment, Bitcoin is looking relatively stable. There's much less talk about it failing entirely or even plummeting very far. This newfound faith in the stability of Bitcoin isn't only based on perceptions of social trends moving it further into the mainstream, but also on the added stability of scale. The general thought is that as Bitcoin grows, the price fluctuations become less extreme, and the historical data back up this idea. For example, in October 2010, the price of Bitcoin was 6 cents. And then in June 2011, it hit a new all-time high of $29.60, which was a price increase of 49,333%. Then the price plummeted down to $2 by November 2011, which was a price decrease of 1,480%. Then, during the 9-month period of time between April 2013 to January 2014, the price climbed to a new record high of $230, then fell to $66, then grew to a new high of $1,147, and then fell to about $177. Now, let's skip forward a few years later to the December 2017 high, which was around $19,800. This was an increase of 11,864% from the 2014 low. This was followed by a long dip, which reached a low of about $3,300 during December 2018, marking a decrease of about 600%. And last I checked, Bitcoin was around $55,780, which is a price increase of about 1,700% from the 2018 low. Obviously, the short historical snapshot I gave you isn't comprehensive, and if you're curious about looking into more details, I encourage you to do so. But as selective and simplified as this data is, it serves well to show that when converted to percentage change, the price gap between highs and lows has decreased as Bitcoin has grown. And the large fluctuations have become stretched over longer timescales. It's also important to note that on a long enough timescale, the decrease percentage after a peak is always significantly lower than the increase percentage between a low and a peak. There are plenty of reasons for size, time, and stability to increase in tandem. One major factor is that as the market cap gets higher, it becomes less likely for any one holder to own a large enough percentage to create notable shifts in the market. Another factor is that time and size builds trust. Since Bitcoin has stuck around and historical data shows that even the worst dips don't fall as low after new highs are reached. With enough evidence showing this, people become less scared of the dips and buy in more quickly than before, which keeps the price from dropping as drastically as it did in the past. You can think of this increased stability like the difference between a motorboat and a cruise ship on the ocean. The motorboat can turn on a dime compared to the cruise ship's slow, plodding turn. So the idea is that as Bitcoin has gotten bigger, the fluctuations have stabilized. That being said, let's not forget that the Titanic sank. It's not impossible for Bitcoin to fail entirely, it's just increasingly less likely. That's why passing the $1 trillion market cap has caused many analysts to proclaim that Bitcoin is here to stay. In related news, one of Musk's replies to a tweet has been gaining attention recently, in which he said, quote, "Bitcoin and Ethereum do seem high, lol." It's an interesting thing for a man whose company just invested $1.5 billion to say about their investment. Is it genuine surprise, a joke, a trick, an attempt to be agreeable? Let us know what you think in the comments. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Bye. If you don't have a Phemex account yet, just click on the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen. Create a Phemex account and you will get a 7-day free premium membership trial and other trading bonuses. To learn more about Phemex and cryptocurrencies, watch out the videos in the box on the left. And if you're new to the crypto world, have a look at the videos on the right for some of Phemex's user tutorials. Thanks for watching this video. Bye.